My fiancée broke up with me out of nowhere, saying she needed to find herself. A week later, she called in tears, saying she still wanted my support as a friend. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just told her to check the mail. What she found inside made her go silent on the call. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember it clearly because we had just paid the rent the day before. We were sitting on the couch after dinner. No fight, no tension, nothing out of the ordinary. Then, out of nowhere, my fiancée, Megan, looked at me with this calm, almost rehearsed expression and said she was leaving. After 4 years together, 2 of them engaged, just like that. It was over. I need to find myself, she said. The oldest line in the book, delivered like it was some deep revelation. I feel like I've lost who I am. I need to be on my own for a while. This isn't about you, it's about me. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. Maybe that surprised her. Years of managing projects have taught me one thing. Emotions don't solve problems. You just take the new data and adjust the timeline. This project, apparently, was over. I looked at her, the woman I thought I'd marry, and all I saw was a stranger making a business decision. Okay, I said. When are you leaving? That threw her off. She probably had a whole speech ready for my heartbreak or anger. I'll stay at my sister's for a while, she said quietly. I'll pack a bag tonight and come back for the rest later. And that was it. No big fight, no last-minute change of heart. She packed a suitcase. I helped her carry it to the car, and she drove away. The engagement ring sat on the coffee table, catching the light from the TV. When the door closed, the silence was brutal. For the next few days, I just went through the motions. Work, home, dinner, bed. Repeat. I didn't cry. I just started doing what I always do when something falls apart. I made a list of everything that was now mine to handle, all the pieces of our shared life that needed untangling. Our wedding was supposed to be in 3 months. We had deposits down on everything. The barn venue, the caterer, the photographer, the band, the honeymoon to Italy. A year of spreadsheets, payment schedules, and plans that now meant nothing. A week later, she called. I answered, thinking it was about picking up her stuff. It wasn't. Hey, she said softly. How are you holding up? I'm managing. I said. Good, she said. Listen, I know this is weird, but I was hoping we could still be friends. I really need your support right now. This is such a confusing time for me, and you've always been my rock. I sat there holding the phone, feeling this cold, quiet anger rising. Her rock, the same person she just dropped in the name of finding herself, was supposed to keep her steady while she went soul-searching. She wanted the comfort of me without the commitment. Okay, I said evenly. We can be friends. Oh, thank God, she said, her voice flooding with relief. You're the best, Mark. I knew you'd understand. I do understand, I said. But since we're just friends now, there's something you'll need to check. Look in your mail tomorrow. The mail, she asked. Why? Just check it, I said. Talk to you later. I hung up before she could say anything else. What she didn't know was that I hadn't been sitting around moping. I'd been working, dismantling our future piece by piece, the same way I'd built it, methodically, carefully with receipts. That night, I put everything together in a thick 9x12 envelope. Inside were several documents, each in its own plastic sleeve. Document 1. The contract for the wedding venue. $10,000 deposit, non-refundable. I highlighted that part. Document 2. The caterer's receipt. $5,000 deposit, half lost to cancellation. $2,500 gone. Document 3. The photographer's invoice, her choice of visionary artist who charged a $3,000 non-refundable booking fee. Document 4. The canceled flight confirmations to Italy. I managed to get flight credits, but the booking fees were gone. Another $500. Document 5. The piece de resistance. The receipt for her wedding dress. She bought it just 3 weeks earlier, a custom design that cost $8,000. She paid with our joint credit card, the one in my name. I paid that bill from my account every month. The day after she left, I'd called the bank and removed her as an authorized user. Then I called the bridal shop. The dress was done, non-returnable, and fully due. The final document was a spreadsheet titled Project Closure. Wedding IT listed every expense, deposit, and cancellation fee. Venue, catering, photography, flights. The total came to $16,000. Add the wedding dress, $24,000 in total. At the bottom, I wrote one line in bold: total cost of finding yourself, $24,000. And beneath that, as we are now just friends, I've calculated your half of the shared project cancellation fees. Your portion, $12,000. Please remit payment at your earliest convenience. I sealed the envelope and sent it overnight to her sister's address. It would be there by morning. The next day, I was at work when she called. I let it ring. Then she called again and again. By the fifth time, I finally picked up that I didn't say anything. I just waited. I got your package, she said. Her voice trembled, somewhere between anger and disbelief. What is this? Are you serious? It's a project closure report, I said evenly. Standard practice. A project closure report? She snapped. You're sending me a bill for our breakup? Have you completely lost it? Why not? I asked calmly. You said you wanted my support as a friend. Real friends don't stick their friends with a $24,000 bill for a wedding they decided to cancel. You ended the engagement, Megan. Actions have consequences. This, I said, is what those consequences look like on paper. I'm not paying this, she shouted. You can't make me. You're right, I said. I can't. But the $8,000 dress is your debt. You signed for it. It's sitting at the bridal shop waiting for pickup. If you don't pay, I'm sure their collections department will reach out. As for the rest, the $16,000 in shared losses, if you decide not to pay your half, that's your choice. But then you're not a friend. You're just someone who cost me a lot of money. And I don't keep people like that in my life. There was a long silence. I could hear her breathing, shallow and shaky, like the air had gone out of her. She had imagined a soft landing, me waiting underneath her with open arms. But I just cut the net. I hate you, she finally whispered. I know, I said, and I hung up. The fallout was immediate. That night, her sister Katie called, yelling the second I answered. You're a monster, Mark. She's already going through so much, and now you're doing this? You're kicking her while she's down. Is she going to pay her half of the bills or not? I asked, my tone even. Of course not. You're the one with the good job. You can afford it. You're being petty and vindictive. So let me get this straight, I said. She wants the freedom of being single, but the financial perks of being with me. That's not how this works. Tell her the offer still stands. Pay her half, and we can stay friends. Otherwise, she's just a bad investment I'm writing off. And I hung up. Then came the social media campaign. Megan posted a long, emotional story on Instagram about her toxic ex who was trying to financially ruin her for having the courage to choose her own happiness. The comments poured in. Her friends, mutual acquaintances, people I barely knew, all calling me bitter, controlling, vengeful. Her post was full of hashtags. Hashtag healing, hashtag self-love, hashtag moving in. That I didn't respond. Instead, I sent a short, polite email to the few mutual friends I actually cared about. The subject line, for your information, in the email, I attached copies of the contracts, the receipts, the spreadsheet, everything. At the end, I wrote, this isn't punishment. It's just the invoice for a canceled project. I thought you deserved the full story before picking a side. The shift was immediate. A day later, my friend Sam called. Man, I had no idea, he said. She made it sound like you were just being cruel, but all you did was ask her to cover her share. That's not cruel. That's fair. He told me a few people had called her out in their group chat, and she'd completely lost it, accusing them of being unsupportive, then kicking them out of the chat altogether. And then, a few weeks later, came the real fun. The bridal shop had spent weeks trying to reach her with no luck. Finally, they turned her account over to collections. Her journey of self-discovery now included collection calls and a rapidly sinking credit score. Then, one evening, she showed up at my apartment. No warning. I'd just gotten home from the gym. Her eyes were red, her face streaked with tears. Please, Mark, she said, sobbing. You have to help me. They're ruining my credit. I can't get approved for my own apartment. Please, just pay for the dress. I'll pay you back, I promise. No, I said simply. Why are you being like this? She cried. I thought we were friends. You said you'd support me. I am supporting you, I said. I'm supporting your journey to find yourself. Real adulthood, the kind you said you wanted, means taking responsibility for your choices. You chose the dress. You chose to leave. Now you choose to pay your bills. This is what finding yourself actually looks like. It's not a yoga retreat in Bali. It's a call from a collection agency that I closed the door and left her standing in the hallway. That a few weeks later came the next surprise, that I was at a work happy hour when a guy from sales, Ben, walked up to me. We'd never talked much. "Hey, Mark," he said awkwardly. "Can I talk to you for a sec?" We stepped outside. "Look, this is none of my business, but I feel like you should know. I've been seeing someone, a woman named Megan." I didn't react, just waited. "She told me a wild story about her ex-fiancé," he went on. "A project manager who went crazy after she left him and tried to bankrupt her. She didn't say your name, but, we work at the same company. So I put two and two together. And I've been dating her for about 2 months," Ben said quietly. "We met about a month before she broke up with you." For a moment, I couldn't even process what he'd said. My blood went cold. Finding herself wasn't some solo journey. She had already found someone else. She'd lined up her next chapter before closing the current one. "She told me you guys were basically done for a year," Ben went on, looking embarrassed. "She said you were just roommates, and she was trying to find a way out. The whole finding myself thing was just her trying to let you down easy." "I see," I said, keeping my voice even. But inside, the betrayal hit deeper than I could have imagined. "Look," Ben said, holding up his hands, "I'm not a bad guy. I didn't know she was engaged. When I found out the real timeline, and then the stuff about the money, I started asking questions. One of my friends knows your buddy Sam. That's how I heard the full story." He took a breath. "I broke up with her last night. Told her exactly why. Because she's a liar." I nodded, shook his hand. "Thanks, man. I appreciate you telling me." So that was it. The breakup hadn't been about self-discovery or growth. It was a trade-up attempt that had failed. After that talk with Ben, I thought the storm had finally passed. I was wrong. The next phase of this project involved her parents. That a few days later, I got a call from her father, a man I'd always respected. He was a senior partner at a law firm, with that calm, commanding voice that could make anyone feel small. "Mark," he began, "Megan has told me about this invoice. And I have to say, I'm deeply disappointed. This isn't how a gentleman behaves." "With all due respect, sir," I said, "a gentleman doesn't get left with a $24,000 bill. Megan made a unilateral decision to end our engagement. I'm just allocating the costs of that decision." "This is beneath you," he said sharply. "You're a successful man. This kind of money is nothing to you. But for her, it's devastating. You're using your financial power to punish her, and I won't allow it." "So what exactly are you suggesting?" I asked. "You'll stop all attempts to collect this so-called debt," he said firmly. "You'll pay the bridal shop, and we'll consider the matter closed. If you refuse, I'll be forced to pursue legal action for harassment." "Harassment?" I repeated. "On what grounds?" "Intentional infliction of emotional distress," he replied, completely serious. "Your actions have caused my daughter severe anxiety and harmed her reputation." I couldn't help but laugh. Her reputation was damaged when she lied to our friends and when the man she left me for dumped her for being a liar. I just brought a little reality into her life. "But if you want to talk about court, let's talk about court." I took a slow breath. "I have a signed contract from a bridal shop with Megan's signature on it, a legally binding debt. I also have records of her using our joint credit card for thousands in personal purchases, which I paid off. If you want to bring this to court, I'll gladly let a judge hear why she thinks her ex-fiancé should foot the bill for a wedding dress from a wedding she canceled to be with another man. How do you think that'll go over?" There was silence. Long, heavy silence. He wasn't used to being challenged. "You're making a mistake," he finally said, then hung up. The lawsuit never came. But the threats didn't stop. That a week later, I got a call from my boss. He told me HR had received an anonymous email accusing me of creating a hostile work environment by harassing a co-worker's partner, clearly a jab at Ben and Megan. It was a desperate, sloppy attempt to get me fired. My boss, a decent man and my mentor, just asked, "Is there anything I should know?" "No," I said, and sent him the same email I'd sent my friends, with every contract, every receipt, and the full story attached. I told him everything, including what had happened with Ben, that he called me back an hour later. "All right," he said. "This is a mess, but it's a personal mess, not a professional one." HR's deleting the email. "But Mark, be careful. She sounds unstable." After that, things went quiet. The next I heard, her parents had paid off the dress to stop the collection calls. They were furious. The perfect, independent daughter on her journey of empowerment had turned into an expensive liability. Her relationship with her sister fell apart too. Apparently, living with a broke, bitter ex-bride wasn't the soul-healing experience she'd imagined.